Greetings, Smackers! Michael Edwards here, and I know you haven't seen us in this setting for a while. We're back at Pepper Time, and we're continuing with our series Cosmic Levels, talking to some really cool people who have done and are doing some really cool stuff. Now, if you're into hip hop, you know, what we call the golden age or the real hip hop from, like, say, the 90s onwards, and also into Jamaican internationals like Shinehead and Patra, if you're into Most Def. I could name quite a few more, but I think you have to pay attention because we have somebody very interesting with us. This evening, it's my pleasure to introduce primarily engineer, but also producer, mixer, recordist. Yes, it's a word. Look it up. Recordist. David Kennedy. Hi, Fred.
Yes, sir.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So, of course, as we were talking earlier, I did just a little background when I saw so many people you had worked with. But there was something interesting that popped up. I read somewhere where your father, who you said was an architect, was also big into jazz. But you yourself were actually steeped in the Beatles.
Yes, not my choice.
Yeah, I figured as much. But before we get to those part of it, I mean, tell me, did you actually develop any kind of interest in the jazz genre? Because I know a couple of the groups that you work with kind of borrow a little bit from it from time to time.
Um, I can't say that I identified with any particular genre until I started to buy my own records,
Yeah,
which at that time was Jackson 5. Big influence was Sly and the Family Stone.
yeah.
And the Ohio players, and it just
All the funk stuff and
right,
the R&B classics. Yeah.
right, started from there.
And so, I mean, you then got interested in the kind of roots reggae sound after that. Is that how it worked? Or
I think it was hand in hand. Um, I was in I wouldn't say a unique situation, but because I was born stateside and I grew up
right,
in Jamaica,
right,
um, I could identify with different genres of music.
yeah,
Being in high school and with your friends, of course, you identify with the local music scene, and you learn the ins and outs of that. But at the same time, because of my sensitivities that were
yeah,
introduced to me by my environment, I listen to other types of music.
yeah.
So,
And that's an interesting kind of perspective because, especially in the Jamaican setting, people tend to sort of gravitate to a very narrow band of music appreciation.
yes.
But those who kind of had the experience of either living abroad or spending a lot of time abroad tend to be a little bit broader. What's your take on that, and how you feel about how that would have shaped somebody like you?
Um, at the time I was growing up, I didn't have access to
A lot of
the
us do.
stuff what these kids have access to now.
Right.
They have more. I only discovered by way of word of mouth, or someone would come and we get on a plane and we go to the States and
Yeah.
listen to the radio. Even before that, people were listening to radio.
Right.
You hear Bob's influence of listening to radio from Miami with Miami Airways.
So were you like a record store digging the crate guy, looking for the latest stuff, or you weren't really part of that?
I didn't get that deep. I could appreciate going to record stores. I knew what I wanted before I went in, so but I didn't
Yeah.
really hang out and discover
Yeah.
stuff there. It was just too much stuff to discover. I remember walking into Virgin Megastore in Times Square, and I was like, no, it's over. I can't.
Yeah.
I want I want to hear each one, but I can't. There's not enough time to consume all of this stuff.
Yeah, I remember going into a tower record store in San Francisco while I was there on a trip, and I was like, I can actually just stay here and listen to all of
All
this.
of this.
Yeah.
You can't,
You can't get through everything.
you can't appreciate it.
Yeah. So, okay, you would have kind of got a fairly broad palette by the time you sort of made the decision that, sound engineering is what you wanted to do. But what is it that actually prompted that decision? What made you say, well, okay, this is where I'm going?
Well, there was when I was in high school, there was a house party scene,
Ah,
which was entertained by sound systems.
yeah,
Um, but not the Sturgov or
right.
yeah, not the it's just soul sound
Yeah,
system. It was a soul, the
yeah.
Afro.
It's kind of like a get together thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there was Blackout, Abraxas, different sound
yeah,
systems.
yeah. I know that. Yeah,
And these guys were record collectors and diggers of crazy. And I fancied myself a DJ of sorts and collected records and
yeah.
had my little sound system and stuff like
Right.
that. And I originally went into, I was given the ultimatum by my parents. You got to do something with your life. We're going to,
Yeah.
make sacrifices, send you to college, but the choice
Sort
is
yourself
yours.
out. Yeah.
Right, choice is yours. What do you want to do? And I ended up in broadcast communications, radio. I originally thought that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And then I found out that
As in, like you were looking to be an on-air person or not.
when you say honor,
On air. On air.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I believe that was, playing music was my thing, but I didn't realize that I could also create music. My father left the guitar in the house for many years
Right.
before I picked it up and started, picking out bass lines,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's what started.
So okay. So then now let's talk about the transition from doing that, and you're coming back to Jamaica to work. Is that how it happened? Is that you
Um,
graduated from the institute,
Audio research.
right, in New
Um,
York, and then you decided,
Yes, I came back.
yeah,
I figured that I would be equipped to work in the recording industry.
yeah, and you chose the top of the top. That, I mean, then
Dynamic sound,
the
yes.
dynamic sound.
Well, I had
Yeah.
a friend, Pablo Stewart, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Was brother to
Really,
Willie and
Yeah.
also brother to Byron.
right. Yes,
They're related.
yeah,
And he got me the job. Byron's a genuinely nice guy.
yeah.
So he, I won't say I wasn't like family, but they put me on.
Right.
They were very patient.
I mean, but what was it like in terms of, okay, you are kind of fresh into the thing, you're coming into the Jamaican recording scene of that era.
Oh, I came in. I came with an attitude. Quite arrogant. I have a
Yeah, I'm from
certificate-
New York, and
I'm from America. I have a certificate of recording artist. Y'all can't do shit with me. And I learned Stephen Stanley.
yeah,
We did Black Uhuru.
Yep.
Anthem, first album together.
Reggae Grammy.
Right.
That's right.
Worked on that. And I learned so much working with him.
Yeah,
And it pretty much was a sink or swim type of situation.
yeah,
And I managed to swim out with it. So I can't complain.
yeah.
And I got tired of, I wasn't making enough money.
Yeah,
And I figured out I'd make more money if I went back to the States. So I went back to the States.
yeah,
And from there, I founded the concrete. I walked up and down to different jobs, and just lucked into a situation at a place called Studio 900,
okay.
where I ended up recording for Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
Okay, because I mean, of course, you know that he is a frequent visitor here and all that
That's
stuff. Yeah.
the only thing that saved me was that I was a Jamaican. Because he came in and saw I was Jamaican. He said, oh no, this is the place I want to work. Sat me, and that was it.
Yeah,
And that gave me more or less.
what was the musical process like with him? I mean, I've had a conversation with him just generally, but what was it like working with him?
He comes in, they jam.
Yeah,
He had
he had a band, I think, at one time called
something wine.
Expensive winos. That's it.
Wine.
That's it.
Yes.
Yes.
I was an extended member. They kicked me out eventually. I'm trying to remember his drummer's name. Quite talented individual, but he's his musical director now.
Right.
They'd come in, just him and the drummer, and they play.
Yeah.
I feel bad for forgetting his name, but I'm getting old. So, but they come in, jam, and then they piece together songs. They listen to it and say, okay, we could do this, we could do that with it. We were still on tape. So,
Right.
So half of the things that they probably can do now, we had to do by cutting.
Yeah, cut and slice. Yeah.
To see how it would work and stuff like that. And it pretty much came together rather quickly. They were able to call in their guest players. Everybody would want to be on this first album.
Right.
Well.
I think he had a son of one of the Neville brothers in the band as well. I can't remember his name.
Oh yes, it was Aaron.
Was it Aaron in the early days?
I think so.
I think you might be right.
Kid,
yeah,
I remember.
Yeah,
he was there. He had a lot of that. I mean, I worked. I can't. You caught me off guard with it. If I could go back and say, this guy was not a.
Because I mean, what happened is that I got bumped up to first class on a flight to New York, and lo and behold, he was sitting in the next seat. So we ended up talking for a bit before. Well, of course, he fell asleep. But we talked a bit about music.
Right. But he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy. Yeah. So let's transition now to the hip hop part of it. I mean, first of all, you may or may not have had direct exposure to that genre before you started doing those records, or
no, but it definitely helped my experience in the record.
right?
One, it was confidence.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys would come in and they'd be like, when does the engineer get here? I'm the engineer. How did you become the engineer? And I said, well, I don't know. I work for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how'd you do that? But then the word spread out that, there's David Kennedy's here, black engineer, Rasta guys, parents mad weed, blah, blah, blah. I became
the guy. so I mean, again, that brings up another interesting point. So you as a Jamaican, with Jamaican roots and stuff, end up in that situation dealing with young black Americans who kind of have a certain image of what the engineer is supposed to look like. Is that basically what it started out as?
It did. Because they're used to, for them,
it's a white guy.
It's the white guy.
Yeah.
How did you have to go to school to learn this?
Yeah, usually.
How did you afford to go to school to do this?
Yeah, the white Jewish guy sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then they figured out that he's Jamaican or he's foreigner. Well, he speaks so well, he must be British.
Yeah.
They couldn't place me, but they knew I was not
American.
So you got that reference, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. But I still could hold my own.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I had somewhat of an elder status.
Because I was doing some of the reading and stuff. The work you did, especially with Tribe Called Quest,
right?
I mean, kind of spoke to you having a bit more expanded role rather than just the guy who put the mix together or adjust the levels. Or you seem like they kind of, sort of had a bit of back and forth with you.
A couple things happened with my career. When I first started, I was an engineer.
Right.
Turn.
Yeah. Adjust. Whatever. Right.
That's it. And then I began to have more input. They relied on, what do you think? What should we do? How do we do this? And then I began to realize that I was actually producing. So there's a fine line in that. And I guess the latter works that I did, there's more influence of me on. I do ghost vocals. If you listen carefully, I have vocals in the back.
Different tracks. Okay.
Different tracks. I did skits with Brian Nubian.
On the All for One record, okay.
One of them, I can't remember. There were like 3 we did.
Yeah.
I remember we just had fun. It was
Yeah.
a creative process,
Yeah. Try this out.
I was glad, they owe me money for it, as a performer. But I never thought, to go. But like the work I did with Tribe, um, I didn't realize how much of an influence I had on it until I began to hear my stuff on it, and then they gave me credit,
Yeah.
points and stuff like that.
Right.
Treating me like family.
Yeah.
And with Most Def, um, I ended up co-producing most of the album.
That's the one Black on Both Sides.
Black on Both Sides.
Right.
But I got it
Messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a business. These things unfortunately happen, and even for me, as mostly a writer, I end up with doing a lot of different type of stuff that you don't get credited for, but you see it. What I wanted to ask you, I mean, I don't necessarily want to talk about necessarily the current state of the music per se, but even for me at my age, when I look at the reach of what we consider to be the Jamaican culture and sound, I'm still surprised.
How far it reaches.
At the intensity and how far it has gone. What are your feelings about that?
There are more Jamaicans outside of Jamaica than there are.
Right.
And they're very passionate about culture.
Yeah.
Um,
But they seem to be much more passionate about it than most of us here.
because
The ones who are outside,
homesick.
yeah.
Homesick. They
Yes,
just own so
you're right,
much
you're right.
that this is why it's so big. You could cook in a can.
Yeah.
Which is what's too,
Yeah. Exactly. That's why I didn't want to go there. But yeah.
And they love it because they miss home, anything, and they're very passionate about it. Because it has to come from you. It can't be Jamaicans abroad. You'll have honorary steel calls,
Yeah.
things like that.
Right.
The gate is shut now. You don't hear about any more bands. There's so much talent outside.
Yeah.
There's so much talent everywhere.
Yeah.
Jamaica's become the gatekeeper very much. No, they're gatekeeping citizenship and nationality.
Yeah.
You can't be a Jamaican.
Right.
Why not? Because you're not born here. I said, no, but I have my descent. I have the same privileges as you. Born here.
Yeah. Which is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because they don't want to differentiate as a born here Jamaican.
Yeah.
I'm not
Outside
Jamaican.
Jamaica,
We're still Jamaican.
Yeah.
So they, to be honest, they push, and it's hurting them. They push the any kind of nationalistic thing. It's hurting. It's hurting the states. It's hurting
Yeah.
nationalism. So our music goes so far and influences so many people.
Yeah.
You can't afford to gatekeep because you're gatekeeping on yourself.
Yeah. You're preventing yourself from enjoying the benefit.
From even learning something.
Yeah.
So, gee, I can say this, but I listen to you, I might be able to say this differently. I didn't know I could say this differently. So, that to me, I try not to get involved.
Yeah. I want to ask you, I mean, what are you most interested in, these days? You still have your career as a poet. What are the things that drive you in terms of, I want to be a part of X?
I'm stubborn. I realize that I have to, I won't say give it up, but obviously I can't think like a 14.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to think like a 14-year-old if you want to
Make it.
as a business.
Yeah.
Because you have to sell your product to 14-year-olds who grow up to be 24-year-olds, 34-years, and you have a long market of
Right.
business. But you have to start
Start there so you can work the tail, yeah.
to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to come in at night.
Right.
Stuff like that. So, many years ago, I realized that I came home. I tried to um, teach. I inspired a small group of individuals who went out and did great things.
Oh, cool.
Calling the names.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, you don't have to. That's right. That's right.
but so I have influenced some. I would like to continue to influence more. The technology is also changing day by day.
Yeah,
I wish to be able to
some more of that.
bring it home again. This is what I'm in the process of trying to feel out now, whether it's lucrative
Yeah,
or not. I still do a little production. I still have some stuff out there that I work with on the quiet, but aggressively trying to sell music is I don't see it happening.
yeah.
So
They're
I'm more
frustrated.
into,
They can be frustrated.
right. So
Yeah,
I'm more into I'm moving into um, mastering
ah,
and some other things which I want to talk on.
yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I don't really have anything else directly that I want to ask you. If there's anything else that you feel you want to comment on,
Uh,
or
no, this is
yeah,
fine.
but
I
yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah, it was really good, and
Great
hope we can
experience.
renew it at some point. And
Yes, definitely.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Respect.
Yeah. So there you have it. And we'll be back. Hopefully, not as long a break as we had with the last guest, but keep looking out. Cosmic Levels. Peace.